The rifle's barrel shook against Jack Thornton's shoulder as he peered through the swirling snow. Down in the valley, a woman lay crumpled beside her overturned truck, blood staining the white drifts around her. And damn if she didn't look just like his late wife. Emma not exactly, with sharper cheekbones and lighter hair peeking from under her cap, but those eyes, hell, those eyes were Emma's, staring up at him like a ghost demanding answers from beyond the grave. He'd been chasing the Blackwood crew for 2 days across Colorado's brutal winter backcountry, their tracks fading like smoke in the wind. But now, watching this stranger try to stand on what was obviously a busted ankle, Jack felt a crack form in the ice wall he'd built around his heart over the past 2 years. The smart move? Drive off in his old Ford. Let the storm swallow her like it did everything else worth a damn in this unforgiving land. Jack Thornton knew better than most that digging up the past only led to more pain. But as she locked eyes with him, desperation turning to fragile hope, one question burned hotter than a branding iron. What do you do when the dead won't stay buried? 3 miles from his ranch house, Jack made his call. He slid from his truck with the quiet grace of a former Marine, boots sinking into the knee-deep powder. The woman mid-20s, he guessed, was clawing toward a cluster of evergreens, her left leg dragging like dead weight. "Easy there," he said, his voice gravelly from too many silent nights. "I'm not here to hurt you." She whipped around, and up close, the resemblance punched him in the gut. But where Emma had been warm and yielding, this woman's features held an edge, like a wildflower that had grown spikes to survive. "Back off," she snapped, fishing for something in her coat pocket, a small pistol, lethal at this range. Her hands trembled, but not just from the cold. Jack held up his hands. "Ma'am, you're bleeding out in the snow, and this blizzard's gonna bury us both before dawn. Shoot me, or let me help your choice." Those eyes, God. Those eyes scanned his face like she was hunting for buried treasure. Or maybe a lie. "You're him," she whispered, the words slicing through the wind. "You're Jack Thornton." The name hung heavy between them, loaded with the weight it carried in these parts. Jack's fingers twitched toward his sidearm out of habit. "Who's asking?" "Sarah Whitaker." Her voice stayed steady despite the pain etching lines on her face. "Emma's sister." The world went silent, the snow muffling everything but his pounding heart. Emma had mentioned a sister Auntie, a teacher in Chicago, too independent to visit the Rockies. "She thinks the mountains will soften her," Emma had teased, tracing patterns on his chest in bed. "Doesn't get that soft things break out here." But this woman, defiant and bleeding, was forged from steel. Emma never Jack started, then clamped down. There were 1,000 secrets Emma had kept, as he'd learned the hard way. "What the hell are you doing out here?" Sarah's smile was ice cold. "I came to meet my brother-in-law, to look him in the eye and ask why he let my sister die." The accusation landed like a boot to the ribs, but Jack had taken worse hits. Every night for 2 years, he'd replayed Emma's blood on that Denver highway. "Ma'am, I don't know what you've heard." "I heard enough." She tried to rise, gasped as her ankle buckled. "Rachel Hayes wrote me. Told me about your secret, how you knew the Blackwood gang was hitting that route, but let Emma drive it anyway." Rachel Hayes. The name stirred old Billy, a woman who'd chased Jack before he chose Emma, turning venomous when rejected. But why would she? Fat snowflakes started falling thicker, and Jack knew they had minutes before whiteout conditions hit. "Lady, I don't care what Rachel spun, but unless you want to prove your point by freezing solid, we gotta move." He reached for her, and she swung the pistol at his chest. "Don't touch me." The gun wavered, then dropped as her strength failed, her face paling. Without a word, he scooped her up. She was lighter than Emma, all wiry strength where his wife had been soft curves. This one was built for fighting, not folding. "I hate you," she murmured against his collar as he carried her to the truck. "Good," Jack replied, breath fogging the air. "Hate will keep you alive." But as he settled her against him for the drive home, he caught a flicker in her tone, something beyond rage. Recognition, because when she'd really looked at him, Her eyes held not just fury, but a raw, aching want that mirrored the emptiness he saw in his mirror every day. And Jack Thornton knew, with the certainty of a man who'd already lost it all, that Sarah Whitaker was about to shatter his fragile peace. The ranch house hit Sarah like a freight train. Everything matched Emma's letters. The stone fireplace, the braided rug, the oak table Jack had built himself. But what the letters missed was Emma's ghost in every shadow, her knitting basket by the hearth, yarn still looped, her favorite sweater on a hook, as if she'd just shrugged it off, even the faint scent of her vanilla lotion lingering in the air. Jesus, Sarah breathed as Jack set her in the armchair by the fire Emma's chair. She realized with a stab. The flames danced across his face, and for the first time, she saw him clearly. Jack Thornton wasn't the villain she'd imagined. Tall and solid from ranch work, with a gentleness in how he knelt to check her ankle, his touch precise like a medic's. A scar jagged from his ear to his chin, old but deep. His eyes were storm gray, heavy with unspoken burdens. "Not broken," he muttered. "Sprained bad, but it'll mend." He fetched water, tore bandages from a clean flannel, but his hands shook and he avoided her gaze. "Because I look like her," she thought. "Because seeing me is like losing her all over again." "Why'd you let her go alone?" Sarah demanded as he wrapped her ankle. His hands froze. "I didn't let her do a damn thing. Your sister wasn't one to ask permission. Rachel said you knew about the Blackwood gang. Said you had a choice." Jack's jaw tightened like he was biting back poison. "Rachel Hayes has her reasons for stirring trouble. So she's lying?" He stood, staring into the fire, shadows deepening the lines on his face. "It's complicated." Sarah's anger flared hot. "Complicated? My sister's dead, and you call it complicated?" "Your sister had cancer." The words dropped like stones. Sarah's world tilted. Lung cancer. Been gnawing at her for months. She was heading to Denver for a specialist, not some shopping trip like I told folks. "That's impossible. She'd have told me. She made me swear not to. Wanted to handle it with grace, face it alone." His voice cracked. "Even made me bunk in the barn those last weeks scolding bare, me seeing her frail." Sarah's mind spun. Emma's final letter shorter, handwriting labored. She chalked it up to ranch life. "You're lying." Jack turned, raw agony in his eyes. "I beg her not to drive that day. Roads were dicey, rumors of Blackwood working the pass. But the doc could only see her then, and cancer doesn't wait." He grabbed a tin from the mantle bottles of painkillers, the heavy stuff. "I demanded to go, but she said," his voice broke. "She couldn't stand dying in front of me. Wanted me to remember her strong." The room whirled. Everything Sarah had believed, the rage that drove her from Chicago, crumbled. Her last words, Jack shut his eyes. She said, "Don't let them know about," then she was gone. Never knew what. Don't let them know about the cancer, Sarah realized. Even dying, Emma protected her pride. "Oh God, what have I done?" But Jack was fixed on a photo on the mantel, Emma in her wedding gown, radiant. "You look so much like her," he said softly. "Same eyes, same fire when you're mad, but tougher, like you've got more steel." Something in his tone made Sarah's skin prickly the way he looked at her now, not as family, but as a woman, aware of her ripped jeans, her hair loose. "Mr. Thornton, Jack, I am sorry. I needed to blame someone. Grief has to land somewhere. I get it." The air thickened, charged like before a thunderstorm. Sarah felt her pulse race, saw his breathing quicken. "This is wrong," she whispered. "Yeah," he stepped closer. "It is." But he took another step, and Sarah didn't move. Because in the gap between hate and hurt, something sparked redemption and ruin all at once. The storm raged outside, locking them in with ghosts. And as Jack touched her face, fingers trembling, Sarah knew nothing would be the same. 3 days. That's how long the blizzard trapped them, and by night 2, Sarah felt temptation like a predator stalking. It lurked in Jack's broad back as he chopped wood, in the space he kept between them like it might ignite. In the glances he stole before looking away, panic in his eyes. "You don't have to crash on the floor," she'd said that first night, eyeing his blankets by the fire. "Yes, I do," he growled. But night two, with frost creeping inside the windows, survival trumped manners. "You'll freeze," Sarah said, lifting the quilt on Emma's bed. Jack hesitated in the doorway, in his thermals, haunted. "Sarah." "Just warmth," she lied. "Just surviving." But when he slid in, a pillow barricade between them, it was more. His heat seeped through, every brush electric. His scent pine, smoke, made her dizzy. "Tell me about her," Sarah whispered in the dark. "Emma when she was happy." He tensed. "Why?" "Because I want her whole, not just letters." "You had that." After a pause, his voice softened like rediscovering faith. "She hummed show tunes while cooking her mom's recipes. Voice like honey, temper like a hornet when crossed." A chuckle. "Tried teaching me to two-step once. Damn near crippled us both." Sarah smiled. "She wrote about that, said you danced like a bull in boots." "Did she?" Laughter warmed his tone. First she'd heard. They talked till dawn about Emma. The life here, loves lost differently. Barriers crumbled, fingers grazing over coffee, eyes lingering. On day 3, fixing a loose shutter, it snapped. Sarah held the board. Jack leaned close, breath hot on her neck. She turned, they were inches apart, gold flecks in his graze. "Sarah," he breathed, name like prayer and sin. "I know," she said. Knew they teetered on betrayal, should honor the dead. But knowing wasn't stopping. His hand cupped her cheek, thumb on her lip. She leaned in. The kiss exploded fire, 2 years' loneliness unleashed. Jack kissed like starving. Sarah matched, shocking herself. Hands everywhere, her tugging his shirt, palms on scarred chest, him lifting her to the workbench between her thighs, stars bursting. "God, Sarah," he groaned, lips on her neck, unbuttoning her shirt. Fabric parted. His mouth on her skin through lace, pleasure ripping through. Her hands worked his belt, body arching, then her eyes hit Emma's jewelry box on the sill, carved heart staring accusingly. "No," she shoved him. "We can't, I can't." Jack reeled back, confusion to hurt to clarity as he saw the box. "Jesus, what are we doing?" Shame flooded the room. Sarah clutched her clothes, half bare. Silence choked them as the storm eased, sun piercing through. "Weather's breaking," Jack said flatly. "Yes." Sarah buttoned up. "I should go." "Where?" Sharper than mint. "You showed up with nothing." "Where to?" She met his eyes, desire there, but deeper. "Love? I don't know. But not here. Not after what we almost. What we almost did was live," Jack said. "Emma wouldn't." "Don't." Like a slap. "Don't presume what my sister wanted. You didn't know her enough to spot her dying." It struck true. Jack paled, hardened. "You're right. I didn't know her. Don't know you." But as he turned, as Sarah packed, they both knew the lie. 3 days had bared souls. That intimacy was poison. By evening, the road cleared. By morning, Sarah Whitaker would vanish, stealing Jack's first spark of joy since Emma's coffin. But as night fell, them apart, her in bed, him by fire, they sensed doors cracked open forever. Dawn brought Harlan Brooks and his crew, trucks rumbling like thunder. Jack heard them, first tires crunching snow, doors slamming, the telltale signs he'd learned in Iraq, keeping him alive through ambushes. "Company," he said, loading his revolver. Sarah, packing grimly, froze. "What kind?" "The worst." Through the window, Harlan's bulky frame emerged, eyes cold as a shark's. Behind, his Goonstown thugs Jack knew from bars. "Miss Whitaker," Harlan bellowed, fake politeness dripping. "If you're in there, come out. Folks are worried about your good name." Sarah blanched. In small-town Colorado, a woman's rep was gold. Whispers could ruin her faster than bankruptcy. "Bastard," Jack muttered. He'd seen this coming. Harlan, eyeing his land's water rights since Emma's death. "What does he want?" Sarah whispered. "My ranch. The creek that feeds it. This is his play." Harlan checked his watch dramatically. "Now, Miss Whitaker, I know you're a proper lady, but 3 days alone with a man like Thornton? Looks bad. Sarah marched to the door, spine steel. No running, she told Jack. She stepped out like royalty. Sun caught her hair, making her glow. Even rumpled, chin high, she was stunning. Mr. Brooks, she called. You brought a posse to chat? Must be important. Harlan's smile was graveyard cold. Indeed, ma'am. Word is you've been shacked up here, unchaperoned, with a questionable type. So, he blinked, expected tears, not steel. Well, that's hardly fitting for a lady like you. My station? Sarah's voice cut. The one where I take shelter in a storm from a decent man? Or where I don't need your approval? Behind Harlan, his foreman shifted. Watch it, lady. You're talking to the man who runs this valley. Runs, Sarah echoed. Not owns. Pity. Jack's stifled grin. Emma had fire, but Sarah was ablaze. Now see here, Harlan reddened. I'm being nice, protecting your rep, but if you're stubborn, then what? Jack stepped out, hand on holster. You'll what exactly, Brooks? I'll do what's needed to shield folks from scum like you, Thornton. The threat hung like a noose. Jack spotted Glint's rifles in the trees. More men. Harlan, Jack said calmly, you want my land? Say it. Don't hide behind her. Your land. Harlan laughed coldly. After letting your wife die, now tarnishing this woman? You'll be run out if you're lucky. Words unleashed something feral in Jack. His hand gripped the gun. Careful. You're crossing a line. Am I? Harlan crowed. What man sends his wife into danger alone? Takes her sister before the grave's settled? The man done with your lies, Jack said, voice lethal quiet. The man with nothing to lose. Jack, don't, Sarah cut in. He's not worth it. But Harlan drew hand, diving for his pistol. Time slowed. Jack's draw was poetry smooth, deadly. The shot cracked. Harlan's gun flew, hand shattered. He howled. The foreman half drew. Jack's next shot splintered wood by his head. Next moves, it's flesh. Tense standoff hands rose from holsters. This ain't over, Harlan snarled, clutching his hand. Can't guard her forever, Thornton. I'll remember her mouth. The veiled threat iced Jack's blood. Sarah was marked now. Actually, a new voice rang, authoritative. It is over. Heads turned. An older man on horseback emerged from the pines. Badge gleaming federal agent vibes. Agent Riley, Harlan paled. Didn't know you were around. I am now. U.S. Marshal Ethan Riley dismounted, stiff from years on the job. And from reports, it's time law hit this valley. He had Harlan's hand. Clean shot. Lucky Thornton aimed to maim, not kill. Man's got a rep for precision. Rep? Harlan spat. He's a coward who earned the Silver Star in Iraq. Riley said coolly. Held a position alone against insurgents for hours, saving his squad. More medals than you've got sense. Shock rippled. Even Sarah gaped. You never said, she murmured. Didn't matter. Mr. Brooks, Riley continued, I've got files on your deal's families squeezed off land suspiciously. Explain. Harlan mounted up, fuming. This isn't done. It is, Riley said. Pack up. 24 hours to clear out. Silence fell as they retreated. Riley turned. Let's talk inside about moving forward. The letter hid in Emma's jewelry box under the loose lining. Sarah found it hours after Riley left, promising Harlan's empire had crumbled. Her hands shook, unfolding Emma's script. Jack hovered in the doorway, bags packed to vanish, to free Sarah from his baggage. What does it say? He asked softly. Sarah read, voice breaking. My dear Sarah, if you're reading this, I'm gone, and you've sought answers. I pray you find them, with my last gift to you both. Jack sagged. Even dead, Emma saved him. I know your guilt, sister blaming yourself for not being here. But I chose this. Facing cancer alone, too proud for pity. I kept you away so you wouldn't sacrifice your life nursing mine. Sarah wiped tears. But there's more. About the man who loved me fiercely enough to die for me. Jack doesn't know I'm writing, thinks I'm napping. Time's short. Truths must out. Jack's throat tightened. He blames himself for my death, for not being on that road. But truth, I begged him to stay. Knew the Denver news was final. Wanted one last sight of him working, happy not widowed. She knew, Jack whispered, reeling, all along. So if you seek blame, look elsewhere. Jack's sin? Loving me too much to let go easily. And you too share our family's stubborn pride. Which leads to my last medal. Sarah, you came for justice but found Maury a man who gets lost, carries the dead. Jack, if hearing this, you found a woman strong enough to love without replacing me. Silence wrapped them. I bless you both not because I'm gone, but love endures in hearts. Room for grief and joy, memory and hope. Postscript. P.S. Jack, Grandma's ring in the box for the woman brave to heal a broken man. You'll know. Sarah's breath hitched as Jack pulled the pouch of gold band with an emerald. Sarah, he rasped, I'm no prize older, rougher, ghost aplenty. But if you'll have me... Yes, she cut in. Yes, you idiot. Slipping on the ring, their kiss sealed it. The house shifted not heavy with loss, but light with blessing, forgiveness, fresh starts from ashes. What do you think about this story? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Do you side with Sarah's initial anger or Jack's silence? Let me know your take on love after loss, and if forgiveness like this feels real or too easy. Your opinions keep the conversation going.